Hi guys and welcome back to Macaroon. I'm really happy the previous tutorial on fidget toys was so popular, so I decided to make some new ones here. For this video I tried to come up with more unusual ideas, such as these crystal clear jellyfish poppets. I haven't seen anything like these in shops, so you can actually impress your friends by making this brand new style as a DIY. I'll also show you how to make a fidget stone, which is great if you love the satisfaction of peeling things. Last but not least, I tried to make a silicone poppet using the two-part putty that I normally use to create molds. This one was highly experimental, so be sure to watch until the end to see how it turned out. I'm very active on TikTok these days, so feel free to follow me there for more DIYs such as these super easy paper fidgets. Now let's get started with these incredibly aesthetic jellyfish poppets. The secret to this DIY is using two different types of plastic, which you should be able to find fairly easily. The first one is a soft transparent plastic, and the material from this type of folder is perfect. You can also use the back part of a sticker sheet or clear windows from food packaging. The next one is a thick clear plastic, and this kind is often used in stationery packaging. I decided to buy this one just for the box, and I can always use the pens for future DIYs. If you're out and about, then just keep your eyes open for different types of boxes. For instance, I realized later on that I actually had the same plastic at home from this Copic marker pack, which I was about to throw out. First, take the thin plastic and cut out a small piece. Trace a circle using any object and adjust the outline so it's a bit wider on the bottom. You can easily erase the extra lines using a damp paper towel. Now I'm going to paint on the facial features using acrylic paint, and I find it's easier to see what you're doing if you place some white paper underneath. Cut out the faces and then cut a small slit that goes halfway across the front. Bend this into a shallow cone shape and secure with tape. Next, I'm removing all the pens and cutting out a piece of the thick plastic. Trace the face outline onto it and then sketch out a rough jellyfish shape. It's best to leave at least 1 centimeter around all sides, otherwise the poppet is going to end up too flimsy. Then cut everything out with a craft knife, and be extra careful here because it's easy to slip on plastic. I decided to add some glitter to make it look prettier, and also to hide some scratches where the blade slipped when I was cutting. Just sprinkle it all over the top and cover everything with clear tape. Because this was my first attempt, I accidentally used too much glitter, and it became a bit tricky because the tape didn't stick to the plastic underneath. I had to wrap the tape around the sides and do a lot of trimming with scissors, but you basically want to end up with something like this. Now cover the back using clear tape with the sticky side facing up, and cut an X shape across the opening. Press the face into place, and our first transparent poppet is done. For the second jellyfish, I was a lot more careful when sprinkling the glitter. I made sure that there were enough spaces between the glitter pieces so the tape could stick onto the plastic as well. This one worked perfectly, and it was a lot faster and easier to make. I'm so happy with how these turned out, and I think transparency and glitter gives it a completely different look. I also found that plastic pops better than paper, so you get a more satisfying snap when pushing these back and forth. The biggest problem I had when making transparent poppets is that some types of plastic don't stick well to clear tape. So if the pieces start coming off when you pop them, then you might have to try a different material. The next fidget toy was inspired by a TikTok account I came across called PickNPeel Stones. I had a comment under my last video asking which fidget toys would be good against dermatillomania, which is uncontrollable skin picking, and this one popped into my head right away. These stones have little holes drilled into them, and you even get dental tools to pick out the filling. The stone I'm going to make is only a very simple adaptation of this idea, and I strongly recommend supporting a small business and buying the original product if this type of fidgeting appeals to you. So to get started, you'll need some peel-off face masks and large flat stones. My stones were from a craft kit, which I know is a bit lazy, but these were literally on sale for €1 and the stones are clean and ready for crafting. If you're going to use stones you found outside, then be sure to sterilize them first using boiling water. Now take your peel-off face mask and start adding thick stripes across the stone. You can be very generous with the product here because the thicker it is, the easier it's going to be to peel it off later on. If you can't find face masks in different colors, then you can just customize them yourself using food coloring, powdered pigment, or glitter. I also decided to make a stone fully covered with face mask just to see how well it comes off. Now leave everything to dry completely, and this can take up to several days depending on how much stuff you put on. When I started peeling these, I noticed quite a difference between the brands. The blue one peeled off really nicely, whereas the other two tended to flake and you have to pick the rest off with your nails. So it might be worth experimenting with a few different brands just to see which one has the texture you like best. This one didn't turn out as pretty as I'd hoped, and the golden mask was also one of the hardest to get off. However, I think this design would still work with a different mask or different colors of glitter. And for the final DIY, I wanted to see if I could make something similar to a store-bought silicone poppet. This is obviously highly experimental because I didn't think it would be easy to replicate the same type and shape of silicone at home. However, because I work a lot with silicone putty, I decided it was worth a try. I needed something underneath to create the round shapes for popping, and the plan was to spread the silicone over that as thinly as possible. This is almost like making a reverse mold. I decided to go with a koala shape and see if I could make the nose and eyes poppable. To create the base, I'm going to use oyumaru, which is a heat-activated plastic clay. This reminds me a lot of warm wax, and it isn't the easiest material to work with, but this DIY is basically an experiment, so I'm not too bothered about things looking perfect. I'm basically looking for which shapes and sizes would work best for molding the popping dimples. I made 2 different sizes for the nose and eyes, plus 2 larger balls which might work for a simple dimple-inspired fidget. The oyumaru hardens very quickly, so I can start with the silicone putty right away. I'm stretching this out very thinly and then placing it over the top. I felt this koala was almost too 3-dimensional because the base of a poppet should ideally be completely flat. I also made this a bit too small, and it was kind of hard getting the silicone in between the eyes and nose. Next, I covered the 2 balls with putty, and I made this layer a bit thicker to see if it makes a difference. Then I left both pieces to harden, which takes about 20 minutes. I like how this looks right after taking the koala out because the inside of the nose and eyes have that same smooth round look as store-bought poppets. It really is possible to pop the nose back and forth, however the eyes ended up a bit too small. The double poppet looks very promising, but I realized that the silicone was simply too thick. Instead of popping, the material just bends inwards, and there's some places where it's almost about to rip. So this experiment showed that it is possible to make your own silicone poppets, but it will take quite a bit of trial and error. I would say the best size would be that of the koala nose, and it should be on a flatter surface with the popping domes spaced further apart. The silicone shouldn't be more than 1 or 2 millimeters thick, otherwise it could end up ripping when you press it. I really hope this video is helpful, and I would love to see what you guys make. You can tag me anytime on TikTok or Instagram with my username Macaroon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!